come live in the core. We'll jump together, my friends. Every flash of light's another hand to carry the weight. Jump on board into those cars. We're the wandering souls. Come and lend a hand for the distant world. Or take a blaster or two, cause in those pristine rings there's a fortune for you. We'll work together, my friend, as the mother lode cracks. This might come to an end. But jump on board into those chords. Oh, we're the wandering souls. Come and lend a hand for the distant world. Laughter's fire and jump drives count. A voice comes feel, there's a chatter about the target set and the work's in your hands. Come and build a hope in the distant lands. Search those systems till there's nothing to find. Leave the trouble in the bubble way behind. This is your chance as the future unfolds. Come and lend a hand on the distant world.
Hold on for all those pieces of the puzzle. Always freezes on me. It's almost too late for you and me. I want to drink in the way of which he would have done. Drinking like you would stop being fun at the end of the day. If I can't have you to myself, don't want anyone else. Something's gone I can't replace. Don't want anyone, anyone, anyone. Take one, a photograph you can rely on. You're wasting your time, you'll never have one. A photo of a moment complete. Pull on the best black dress you could spill wine on, and look at the tears from all his fake friends that you won't see again. And I can't have you to myself. Don't want anyone else. Something's gone I can't replace. Don't want anyone. And if I can't have you to myself, don't want anyone else. Something's gone I can't replace. Don't want anyone. Don't want. I wish you could see me now. I'm out in the world on my own, and I I wish you could see me now. I'm out in the world on my own. 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 I'm out in the world on my own.
Hi, Commander Kumar the Far here, and you're listening to Lave Radio. Up next is a track that I wrote based on a true story. It's called Pirates Took My Spaceship. Now, if you want to listen to more stuff that I've written, you can find that at soundcloud.com/KUMARTHEFFAR-1. Oh crap, the back!
Hello Commanders, my name is P.A. Groove/Blurred Vision. You are listening to my track Space Hopping. If you like to listen more of my work, please visit soundcloud.com/p-a-groove. Fly safe and enjoy the show here on Lave Radio.
Hello Commanders, the next track is The Great Expedition, another piece from my album Aphelion and used on the Elite Dangerous audiobooks. It's dedicated to all those explorers out there on the frontier. If you'd like to listen to more of my work, you can find it on SoundCloud at alan-stroud-1.
Galnet News Digest, 22nd of April 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, we recap the stories so far of Marlinism.
Neo-Marlinism. A recap.
Following the recent agreement over the Neo-Marlinist refugees from the Madrid conflict, let's look at the recent history of Neo-Marlinism. Is the story coming to an end, or will more atrocities be perpetrated by these so-called Imperial Republicans?
Marlinism has been around for more than 1,000 years. What is now the Empire was created as a republic by Marlin de Val, a distant ancestor of the present Emperor. The republic lasted only a few years, but the cause of Marlinism, the desire to re-establish a Republic of Achenar, has lingered on, especially in the outer fringes of imperial space. Marlinists still want to have senators, but they want the senators to be elected and to represent the people. For more than 1,000 years, Marlinism has been pretty much ignored, but on the 10th of September 3306, a fringe group of Marlinists, calling itself the Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army, bombed 4 imperial starports, including Mackenzie Relay, in Princess Aisling's home system Semius, using Thargoid caustic enzyme bombs. These extremists have a pathological hatred of the imperial family and believe that political change can only be brought about by violent means. 4 days later, they assassinated Princess Aisling's father, Prince Harold, as part of a campaign of targeted killings.
The Empire, in the form of Senator Denton Petraeus, struck back, attacking not only supposed Neo-Marlinist strongholds, but also engineer Liz Ryder, who was implicated in the development of the caustic enzyme bombs used. Systems believed to be sympathetic to the Marlinists were placed under martial law, and a war of attrition was fought not against the NMLA, but against the Marlinist population more generally. The Marlinists, perhaps wisely, chose to flee, chartering a number of megaships and arriving en masse in Federal and Alliance border systems, where they claimed asylum. By the middle of October, barely a month after the NMLA bombings, Marlinism and the Marlinists had left Imperial space, possibly forever.
Meanwhile, the Empire continued its search for the NMLA bomb-making facilities. Liz Ryder was excused her involvement after it was revealed that she had been duped by NMLA operatives posing as members of her local faction. The Empire next turned its gaze upon LTT 1935, which is, unfortunately for the Empire, a federal-controlled system. Rather than attempt diplomacy, Imperial hit squads entered the system, trying to track down and destroy a facility that even now has not been identified. Federal forces responded decisively, driving the Imperial forces back behind the border.
Shadow President Felicia Winters was instrumental in granting the Marlinist refugees temporary asylum in the Federation. President Hudson would have turned them around and sent them back to whatever fate awaited them at the hands of Senator Petraeus and the Imperial Internal Security Service. But with the acceptance of Marlinist refugees came the problem of what to do with the terrorist suspects found among the refugees. The Federal Intelligence Agency identified 9 likely suspects and moved them to Kepler Orbital in Atropos for interrogation prior to being sent back to the Empire. And it was to prevent these captured terrorists being extradited to the Empire, and to prevent them being interrogated, that the NMLA committed its first atrocity outside Imperial space, bombing Kepler Orbital on the 19th of November and killing what it began describing as its 9 martyrs.
The Marlinist refugees were eventually resettled in 8 systems, thanks to a humanitarian initiative led by Sirius Corporation CEO Lee Young-rui. As the year 3306 drew to a close, there seemed at least the possibility that the atrocities had come to an end, and in February 3307, the galactic community began to see why the bombings might have stopped. A secret Imperial detention facility was discovered, with signs that top NMLA terrorists, known as the Theta Group, had been held there and interrogated. Unfortunately for the Empire, the NMLA terrorists had recently escaped, apparently with the assistance of someone senior within the Empire.
It wasn't until the 11th of March this year that the NMLA struck again, attacking 3 Imperial starports, 3 Federal starports, 2 Alliance starports, and the independent Lave station, which still has strong Alliance connections. This 9 Martyrs bombing was a supposed retaliation for the NMLA's murder of its own members in Kepler Orbital, and was intended as a rallying call to encourage a popular revolution within each of the superpowers. It's hard to think of anything that could have brought the squabbling superpowers together more effectively. Within days, a joint task force known as ACT had been set up to track down and eliminate the NMLA threat. Imperial Internal Security Service agent Neve Suetonia managed to track down the terrorists to the Madrid system, but lost her life attempting to pursue the so-called Theta group of terrorists.
The recent war between the Neo-Marlinist Order of Madrid and Imperial forces was intended to destroy the NMLA terrorist threat once and for all. The NMLA faction was resoundingly defeated, and after fleeing to the Marlinist colony in the Hyades Sector RO-P B6-2 system, an agreement has been reached to vet the NMLA faction megaship, the Steel Majesty, for potential terrorists, and to grant asylum to everyone else on the ship. The leader of the Neo-Marlinist Order of Madrid, Landgrave Delacroix, says he will cooperate with ACT to help identify the NMLA leadership, for which cooperation he will not face the death penalty.
Have we reached the end of this sorry tale? Some of the Marlinist colonists have expressed an interest in one day returning to the Empire, and perhaps that will eventually be possible. More importantly, though, the Theta group of terrorists is believed still to be at large, and their bomb-making factory, whether it be in LTT-1935 or elsewhere, has still not been found. We can hope that there will be no further bombings, but we should expect the worst.
And that was this week's Marlinist News. Galnet News. We read the history books, so you don't have to.
Choose life, choose a ship, choose a career, choose a cargo, choose a fucking big ship, choose palladium, gold and electrical tin openers. Choose good health, low cholesterol and ship insurance, choose fixed interest loan repayments, choose a space station, choose your friends. Choose leisure wear and matching luggage, choose a paint job and hire purchase in a range of fucking colours. Choose decals, exploration and wondering where the fuck you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sitting in that chair, running mind-numbing, spirit-crushing trade routes, stuffing fucking junk food in your mouth. And choose rotting away at the end of it all, pissing your last in the void with no one out there to hear you, bury or do anything as you drift away in cold space. Until some fucker comes along to steal your ship, your cargo and your clothes, leaving your bones floating out in space. Choose your future. Choose life. But why would I want to do a thing like that? I choose not to choose life. I chose something else. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you've got onion head?
silent running.
It was cold, I was freezing, I'd had too much booze. So I thought I would pack up my cow for the night. She was packed to the gills with rare goods I had saved. Here's a big hole of ox for my lady. My comms panel opened, a voice said, "Ha ha, now give me 10 tons of your loot." I was stubborn and drunk and would not give this punk not 1 penny, so I blew it all. My lady was hoping for riches that night. When a rebuy, I was down on my knees. But she just walked away from that empty ship bay. She said, "You're not the man that I need." Oh, I turned to the dark side, I hardened my heart. Oh, yes, a mean pirate I'd be. I flew out of that station and into the sun. Yes, I knew I had found what I'd be. I was flying my Cobra right out of Cremain with a hole full of Lave and brandy. I was swinging so deeply from my hidden mug, with the red smell of onion head round me. Maybe I'll find a girl and forgot her one night, or put up with my pirating ways. But until then I'll drink from this old hidden mug, and I hope that I'll meet her one day. One day, Christmas Day, oh, I'll win back your heart with my gold and my charms. Oh, one day, Christmas Day, but until then I'll keep on my pirating ways. Well, hey. So I cooled down my Cobra and silent ran home. Sold all of my Lave and brandy, and some pink fast-neck gin just to give me a grin, and a puff of that onion head gladly. Maybe I'll find a girl and forget her one day, or put up with my pirating ways. But until then I'll drink from this old hidden mug, and I hope that I'll meet her one day. Oh, one day, Christmas Day, oh, I'll win back your heart with my gold and my charms. Oh, one day, Christmas Day, but until then I'll keep on my pirating ways. Oh, one day, Christmas Day, oh, I'll win back your heart with my gold and my art. Oh, one day, Christmas Day, but until then I'll keep on with my pirating ways.
Of the night. Oh, I was alone out in the dark, and I saw hollow squares all around. Oh, I was alone out in the dark. Heaven was
Journey too long, or cargo too small. Profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We're taking anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading all the teen out to the brim with the rest for the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, everybody sing the trucker song. Flossie always seems to crash into the sun. Skibble likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the free, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody out. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song. For the more, for the more, for the more. You know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song. So give me a large path that I can land on, and I'll give you cargo and sing you my song. No point 22 light years to go, cruising to Earth. No journey too long, no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We're taking anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud, like you don't even care. For the more, for the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song. For the more, for the more, for the more. Yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the more, for the more, for the more. Everybody sing the trucker song.
The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the third chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Lavian stations. The year is 3307. The name of the place? Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 339 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the orange sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Edelweiss, and otherwise known as Ben Moss Woodward.
Weird to be back in the OG universe.
We also have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
Unfortunately, tonight we would Commander Psychit and her husband, unfortunately, have been involved in a bit of a car bump. From what we've heard, they're fine, just a little shaken up, but obviously they can't take part in tonight's show. So in order to replace Psychit temporarily, we have Commander Kerrash.
Kings, Commanders.
Welcome back. Who has kindly agreed to step in at the last moment and be all squeeful, I think.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. If you wish, you can join us live. We're hanging out in game, in open. Ben, I do believe, is hanging around the orange sidewinder bar near Lave. The Lave station.
I'll be at the bar. I might be at the station. I'll be in Lave system. Obviously, our thoughts and wishes go out to Psychit and Mr. Psychit. And, we know they're both okay, but, we're still thinking of them.
Yeah. I'm hanging out for once around Jameson's memorial. So if you're in Shinatra Desra, say hello. Try not to bump me. I'm doing a little bit of an experiment to see whether or not I'm barking up the wrong tree about something. Anyway, if you can't join us in game, you can always join us on the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or Lave Radio on YouTube, or Lave Radio on Facebook. So, we will quickly go round the team today and see what they've been up to for the last week. So this week we'll start with Commander Shan.
Hello. Right, future Shan, I know you're driving your car when you're listening to this, so please don't break the speed limit too much and be really careful around roundabouts. Thank you. I haven't had a too bad week, really. Busy work usually. Haven't really played much of the alpha. I'm kind of at the stage of the alpha where I don't want to overdose on it because it takes your experience away when it goes live. So I haven't really done that much, really. I've been kind of getting all the little jobs out of the way, the sorts of things that's been hanging around to do that you think, I really must do whatever. So I've been getting those out of the way, getting myself a clear run for release.
Excellent. Ben, what have you been up to for the last week?
I think the most thing I've actually been doing is collecting Sea of Thieves Twitch drops for myself and my son.
And that's it?
I've not really been playing a lot of the Odyssey Alpha, I have to admit. The exploration mechanics, as I might have alluded to last week, didn't do a lot for me. So I didn't really feel any strong inclination to go and try more of them out. So yeah, I've been pretty much chilling, playing Pizza Delivery Man in Roblox, playing Minecraft, and playing Sea of Thieves.
So you reverted back to being a 9-year-old then, Ben?
Well, I've reverted back to playing with my son.
Okay.
Well, family time is always important.
Exactly.
Kerrash, nice to have you back on.
Hey.
Yeah, what have you been up to for since the last time you've been here?
Mostly alpha. Yeah, I'm a little bit hooked on it, I must admit. But I'm kind of in that same sort of position that Shan was mentioning there, where I don't want to do too much more to spoil the experience. So I kind of got back onto the actual purpose of what I should have been doing in alpha and testing things. So silly little things like seeing how high I can get on the back of a cobra and things like that before leaping
I
off.
caught that on Friday. That was absolutely brilliant. You have to fill in the listeners, Kerrash, because that was one of the best bits of science I've seen in ages.
So we found Aramis and I discovered that if I am in an SRV on top of a ship, you're protected from the thrusts that would normally kill you on foot, and as long as the ship stays stationary when you get to altitude, you can actually disembark the SRV. So we were seeing, how the fall damage works.
Lovely. I take it the jetpack doesn't break your fall enough to stop you going splat.
If you do literally like the actual term is a suicide burn, and if you do it, you can just about survive from a couple of kilometers up.
So it's like the theory that if you jump when the lift is about to crash, you'll be all right.
Yeah,
Yep,
they proved that. They
busted some myths.
Yeah, they proved that wrong in Mythbusters. It goes to prove that you can't rely on Bugs Bunny physics for saving your life, doesn't it?
So hang on, just for listen. So why doesn't that work? Because if you're in midair, is it because the lift collapses and crushes you, and you can't time it well enough, or is it?
It's not a case of timing it well enough. You are still carrying on at the same velocity as the lift is falling. There's no way there's enough equal and opposite energy forced by your jump to counteract the speed you're already going down at.
You can't jump up at 9.5 meters per second squared.
Exactly.
Well, that's blatantly wrong, because Kerrash did it on his stream on Friday.
Well,
a jetpack.
Yeah, like you said, he had a jetpack. I'm quite sure that Jonathan Tea Time is quite right by saying the conservation of momentum.
Yeah, the conversation of momentum.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is there a lift at LaveCon? You could try it and prove me wrong.
No, I think it's upstairs.
No, it's all just one. It's just one decent floor. There's not enough space for us to do it.
Well, we've got upstairs. We could go up to the. There's a couple of meeting rooms upstairs in the bedrooms.
Go up to the roof and then jump off, and then try and jump up before you hit the ground.
If you've got a jetpack that I can borrow, I'll happily try that.
Oh dear!
But I want proof of.
We need a control. We need a control first. So try without
you can be the control.
First. No, I'm the impartial observer.
No. It's your idea, Shan. I think you're the one that has to do it.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, funny. I didn't think so. Well, let's see. I've had an interesting week in Elite Dangerous, I must admit. I have actually enjoyed the alpha, but like you say, I've had to walk away from it at the moment because otherwise, I think I'd burn out on it. and we'll discuss a few issues about what's been happening. Anyway, unfortunately, I do have to I had a bereavement. My wonderful ED Tracker Pro has gone the way of the dodo, and which is a bit of a shame because it's quite a nice head tracker, which means I don't have to get the full Vive out. But the other problem was it took all my key bindings with it, because it's all set up on the custom one, and as soon as those it can't detect exactly the same key binds that you're used to, it reverts back to the custom binds just go. And
So was that under warranty, or is it so
oh
old?
no, the company, the guys that used to run ED Tracker no longer exist. They've wound it up. So if you've got an ED Tracker, then goody for you. Good old Commander Brumster. He walked away from that company quite a while ago before it got wound up, and I do know that he still supports the software and the drivers that you might need for it. But unfortunately, it's a DIY job again. I think they've made the plans available for it, but buying one is no longer an option.
Did you want an alternative, or have you got an alternative?
Oh, I've got an alternative. I'm fine.
You sure? Because I know exactly where you can get a really good one.
I'm hesitant to say go on then.
I'll send you a link. No, Elvis Minishan got one for his DCS for live tracking. So he's a lot of research in it.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, I'm fine. I'm not missing it that much, so it's fine.
It's absolutely fine. I got now. It's got a DLAN clip, Gamer Plus.
Yeah. Oh, I'm now getting messages over Discord saying I've got a spare one.
Don't offer it to Colin. Selling it. Don't give him it. Honestly, what you like? Give a markup. Pretend it's oxygen.
What's the point? What do you like?
Apart from that, I'm let's see. I've had a little bit of time in Star Wars Squadrons again, because sometimes you just need to shoot down TIE fighters. What else would? Oh, Final Fantasy 12. I have now decided that I want to try Final Fantasy 12, which apparently is the last good one before Final Fantasy 15.
I thought 7 was the one.
Well, no, the 7's not available for the PC, is it? The remaster's not available for the PC, and that's the one I really want to play.
Well, the remaster's only the first chapter, isn't it?
Well,
they haven't made the rest of it yet.
Yeah, no, they haven't made the rest of it, and I'm hoping that it drags out as long as possible, because from what I've seen, I am jealous of anybody who's got a PlayStation. It's the only time I've been jealous of anyone with a PlayStation, to be honest. Anyway, where were we? Yes, let's go with the development news. Well, it's been quite an eventful week, to be honest. On Thursday, they have officially announced the release date. On the 19th of May 2021, Odyssey will be released on Steam, on the Epic Store, and at the Frontier Store. So they've been thanking us a lot for the feedback that we've provided so far, and they'll be continue to collecting the feedback for Alpha Phase 4, which starts Wednesday the 28th, otherwise tomorrow. Good timing for us, eh? So apparently you can still pre-order the Odyssey and get the exclusive Pioneer suit skin. I don't know when that runs out, but it should be still available until the alpha, which is supposed to end on April the 30th, but they've extended the alpha until I think it's a week on Thursday.
Yeah, so they changed what was in Phase 4, didn't they? Because lots of people, when it was announced last week, we were told, "Oh, you only get the one ship."
Yeah,
but now you can get all your ships.
Yeah. Originally, we thought we were getting the entire galaxy plus for us to walk around in. But no, Phase 4 is still the 50 light year bubble that we've got in Phase 3.
So did they say what happens if you're more than 50 light years away? Do you get moved back?
Apparently you get moved into the closest place where you are in the ship that you're in.
Okay, and no fleet carriers.
No fleet carriers because they think it'd be far too many fleet carriers in such a small area.
So what happens if you're a fleet carrier to your ship? Do they say?
They didn't say anything about that.
So what happens if you're in a fleet carrier and you've got all your ships and it's a Friday?
You're screwed. Shut up. Move on. Stop being an arse.
Yeah, so Phase 4 starts tomorrow for approximately a week. Now, also today we had a wonderful little live stream, and it was being quite an eventful live stream because not only did we have Zach and Bruce, but Piers Jackson, the games director, and the wonderful Dr. K. Ross were both on stream giving a rundown of how things have been progressing with the alpha and showing some, I'm just saying this personally, some really nice screenshots of what we're to look for in the new planetary tech, which was quite interesting. There was also Twitch drops, which was the purple suit, I believe. Which, if you hadn't had a purple suit, there was another chance for you to get the purple suit.
Purple suit, and we also got a nameplate as well.
Oh, did we? Oh, damn, I missed that then.
Is this a purple, shiny, squeaky suit?
I'm going to say yes, even though it's not. Just to let your fantasies build up there, Shan.
So we'll go into more detail about what they discuss later. The other couple of things to point out was that, has either of you noticed, anybody noticed that the Elite Dangerous website has had an update?
Ooh, tell us more.
Wow, yes, they've gone and you'll find an Odyssey themed redesign for the entire website, also including changes made to the Galnet feed, which took me by surprise when I was updating things earlier. So yes, obviously head over to elitedangerous.com if you want to have a look at that. Let's go into a bit of a dive about the Twitch stream that happened today. First of all, I'll just go around the team, just getting their impressions about how the live stream went today. So, Ben, did you catch it, and what did you think?
I caught it. I thought some of Pierce's comments were really interesting. Especially some of the reasons that they've made for why they've done the breakup of the phases the way they did. I liked how he tried explaining trunk and branches to people. We know what he's on about being developers, but not everybody does. And explaining how, yes, we're on this version of the game that was taken probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago now, and there is 6 to 8 weeks worth of bug fixes in the version that's going to be going live on the 19th of May, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, live is going to be going live on the 19th of May, but we ain't seen any of them, and he's trying to explain why, and I thought that was good, and I was also very pleased to hear that in the alpha we'd only seen one of the styles of the outposts in the betas or something like that, and that they do have others. Or at least that was my takeaway from one of the things he said.
Yeah,
that could have been me having wishful thinking. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, overall I enjoyed it. Yeah. Oh, and Kay's awesome as always. I can gush about Kay if you want, or we can move on.
I think we'll move on for the moment. Shan, Have you had a chance to see it yet?
I haven't yet, but I've read through the notes. There's a few things jumped out to me really. First of all, that Piers said on the stream he's been with Frontier for 16 months.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's the lead designer of Odyssey, I wonder how much of old design of Odyssey was left over. Has he simply inherited Odyssey and improved it, or did they go back and ditch most of old Odyssey and did it to Piers's vision? So that's one question. I think that's. I'd like to know the answer to.
I don't think we ever will.
No, but it's interesting to speculate, isn't it? The other thing is when they said 6 to 8 weeks, and I don't know. We'll come on to this in the main topic, but there seems to be an awful lot of work for them to do to hit the 19th to make the game as slick and polished as we hope it is.
Okay. Crash, did you catch it? And what did you think?
Yeah, little bits and pieces. Frontier have got this terrible habit of putting things on usually when I'm either in the middle of a conference call or cooking tea or something like that. So I didn't catch all of it, but I did get quite a bit of it. I think, like you said, it was nice that they tried to explain the development process. It's something that I'm always trying to explain to people that, we've got these different branches from different points in time, and just because you don't see progress from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, that doesn't mean there isn't progress happening somewhere. It's just we don't have visibility of it. But
Yes.
I thought that was nice. But definitely the stuff with Dr. K, I could listen to Dr. K for hours about Rayleigh scattering and things like that, and have a full on conversation. I would love to sit down and talk to him about that.
Yeah, I mean, the upshots for me were certainly the fact that obviously that the alpha that they've got is actually a cut down version of Odyssey, so that means that I'm hoping that there's a lot more in Odyssey when it releases than what we've seen in the alpha. Especially stuff about the planetary tech. We were discussing about the planetary tech last week and how the Discovery scanner makes the horrible color schemes that they've got during the alpha. Well, I'm quite relieved to hear that that's going to change. I mean, Dr. Ross showing off the planetary tech in its full glory was absolutely fantastic. There were some absolutely stunning vistas, which I think we can show from time to time. I was partially reassured by from what they were discussing. And I must admit, I am looking forward to the actual release now. But this is going to sound a bit weird, but I'm not actually looking forward to Phase 4 tomorrow. Does that sound odd?
No, I think I get what you mean.
John.
Yeah, sorry. Because the trouble is, because your progress won't be carried over. I think like Phase 4 is almost like it's almost the final package of what we're going to be seeing. So it's kind of like you want to play it, but at the same time, it's like if the progress isn't going to get taken over, so why would you continue?
Did they, or have they improved performance that you saw on the stream? Because one of the comments people have made was how the performance, certainly on the ground, seems to be less than what they thought it might be. But had they improved it by the looks of it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think for me, like incrementally from each phase, I have seen an improvement in performance. I think the first build, I was like sub 20 FPS in some locations on a station, and that went from 30, 40, 50 as it was starting to go up on each phase. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with Crash on this one. Phase 1, my machine was grinding like it was grinding harder than Ben when he needs his coffee beans. But Phase 3 has been relatively smoothly.
Just for you.
What?
Just for
Fair
you,
enough.
I'll grind my beans.
That's not exactly what I was wanting. I think that, and if this is still on a build that's 8 weeks old, I hope that what we're eventually going to see in a few weeks' time is going to be, well,
both Kay and Pierce reiterated several times that the version that is the current trunk is seriously optimized over what we've been playing.
Right. Well,
now, it'll be nice, and I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes.
But that's what we've been advised.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow with Phase 4, and well, I'll probably give it a sort of a couple of hours, but then I want to head back to the main game because there's quite a few things happening in the main game at the moment. Also on Thursday there is the mail slot mayhem. They've been seeing all commanders executing slick moves around the mail slots in starports, and they want to show them off on stream. So they're going to try and attempt some of those tricks themselves, and we'll be bringing some guests on to show them how to dock properly. So this is crushing your speed docking, is it?
Oh, I miss doing that.
Yeah. Do you still hold the record?
Oh goodness, no! I was quickly surpassed. I think I was featured on the PC Gamer article, and then within like an hour or two after that, I think someone else had already blown past my record.
Excellent. Well, it's not excellent, but still. Right. Was there any other highlights that anyone wants to raise about the live stream that happened today? Nope. Okay. Right. Well, let's have a look at the in-game events which have been happening this week. On the 21st, the headline was that the federal surveillance has identified several domestic terrorists, but it turns out these are minor. How shall we put it? Not exactly important terrorist groups, which were of a very minor threat.
Sort of like scarists.
Scarists, yes. Akron Delaney's starport campaign has concluded successfully, so there will be new starports appearing everywhere. Now, this was interesting. The current community goal is Aegis has now appeared for Guardian artifacts for research. Now, this could do. I've heard other people speculate that this could be because we might need some weapons to deal with Thargoids from a foot perspective.
I'd just use a big can of Raid.
I see. So you're basically going to take Thargoids on with a bug spray?
No, I'll take off and fire the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Isn't that essentially the mycoid virus, though?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It doesn't work anymore, though, does it? The mycoid virus, because we gave it the cure.
We don't.
No, I don't think we did in lore.
You see, you've got to also remember that the lore that happens in Frontier First Encounters has been kind of retconned.
No, not again.
No, it always has been. I mean, Alan was involved in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which way round it was, whether we'd delivered them the cure for the mycoid, or whether we just let them run riot.
The bad ending of First Encounters is the right ending. Is that?
Yeah, that's the canon ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not the.
Can I have the Scooby-Doo ending?
Scooby-Doo ending.
It was that old Raven.
It was that old man Shan. We should have known.
That's where Sandro's gone. He's got like a latex mask on, and he's working. He's working behind the bar at Sedgwick Inn, Sedgwick Hall. The Lave gone.
Well, on the 23rd, Shadow President Winters has now claimed that the civilian surveillance is illegal and is doing nothing to stop the NMLA terrorists, as they use a different form of communication. And then something big dropped on Monday. The neo-monoliths have exposed Hadrian Duval, that's the emperor's nephew, I believe, who should have been in line of the throne but wasn't, as the appropriate NMLA leader. Now, apparently, this is unconfirmed by ACT, and we'll have to wait and see if there's any response from either the imperial authorities or ACT themselves. There has not been a denial as of yet.
You guys, a quick question about that, actually.
Okay, go on, Ben.
So, would you like Prince Adrian Duval to always have been an evil mastermind genius?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather he's just being a patsy? Or would you rather it was Agatha all along?
Well, it's funny you should mention it's Agatha all along, because apparently it's supposed to be his wife that has recruited him into it about a year ago. It's very, very,
which lends him into being a patsy, basically.
Mm-hmm. Or it could just be mudslinging and people just saying, "Oh, look, he's one of them." And
Do you feel this is all getting a bit like Home and Away or Neighbours or something?
No, it's not. It's not. I actually quite like this kind of toing and froing and politicking that's happening in the background.
I thought Ben was going to say it was Ashling all along at the beginning.
It was Ashling all along, yeah. And of course, they've had a new article today about the galactic mysteries. What's the name of that ship?
Which ship?
The Adamaster or the yeah.
That's the one. Yes, the big one down by where the dredger was. Apparently, the dredger and the Hephaestus has disappeared, but there is a one of those radio beacons down there for people to read the logs, if you like. In other news, the Anti-Xeno Initiative, they are doing the Divergent Marksman/Markswoman event, which is in progress at the moment.
Sorry, Colin, before you get that, what's people's feeling on the storyline at the moment? Because my Home and Away comment was semi-tongue-in-cheek, because it does seem as though they're making it up as they go along at the moment.
Really? I think this has certainly been... It feels to me like this has been planned. And to be honest, I
don't know, it just feels like, when you're a kid, you do round robin storytelling. And, one person says a paragraph and then the next person has a go. And it just goes round and round. I don't know. I don't really see what it's reading at the moment.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, there was a thread for that.
Yeah, there was a thread. Yeah. Well, wasn't that sort of? Oh yeah, there was, but it wasn't. It wasn't Drabbles.
It wasn't. No, it was pre-Drabble.
It was pre-Drabble. Yeah. Well, I don't think so. I think they are actually making things up as they go along, but it's in reaction to what the community has already done. There are times where we could have overturned the Imperials, but we chose to side with the Imperials against the Marlinists, which is why they've all run over to, the colonies and things like that. I think they're doing a good job reacting to the community.
I'm going to trust off on this in that he's told us he's got a plan. He's told us there's got basically a flowchart of where the story can go, and I'll trust off that he's got an idea.
See, if I was a devious person, which I'm not, but if I was a devious person, I would push the story in certain directions by giving better rewards for the preferred storyline I wanted, and not so it went and did what I didn't want or what I hadn't prepared for. So there's a way of guiding play.
You are a railroading GM. I don't think that that Arth is a railroading GM, if you like, and he's prepared to let the community decide how the story will unfold. And to tell you the truth, I'm quite enjoying it at the moment.
The first rule of being a GM is accept the fact that your players will take the story that you spent months developing and then turn left at the beginning instead of right. It just all goes out the window.
Yeah, you can stack it as much as possible with gold off to the right, and you'll still have the players go, "Ooh, what's off to the left?" Yes, no scenario survives contact with the player group. Anyway, back to the Anti-Xeno Initiative. They are doing the Divergent Marksman/Markswoman event. Now, the AXI community has long taught consistency and recently added velocity to the skills it teaches commanders. Now it's time to add accuracy to the list with the Divergent Marksman/Markswoman. The players involved with this have to kill a Medusa in as few shots as possible while dealing with the notorious forbidden convergence of the Imperial Clipper. Wow. Taking on a Thargoid in an Imperial Clipper when the guns are that far apart. That is a challenge. So if you are interested in doing this, pop over to the Anti-Xeno Initiative Discord or go on their website and contact the details there.
Couldn't they have saved a lot of typing by calling them a Marx being?
A Marx being? They could.
I'd have just called them a Marxist, to be honest.
I can't get my head around this newspeak.
Right. Okay. Well, it has come to that time of day again.
Alert! In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert.
Well, the latest store alert is they are releasing the Imperial Clipper Asmetic paint job scheme, which is available in the store now. I must admit, anything that makes an Imperial Clipper look nice, I'm going to be a sucker for, so I might actually splash out on that one.
Asthmatic? Does it mean it runs out of breath really easily?
No, you're thinking of an asthmatic ant, aren't you? With heavy shopping.
So I've just got a picture of OA now, sort of unloading his shopping trolley from B&Q or something.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, then. Will anybody else be buying one of those?
It looks quite cool, to be fair, though.
Yeah, I quite like it. I think any one of the paint jobs which is more kind of asymmetric, got a bit of style to it. I like that. So, yeah,
But they couldn't, the first set of paint jobs, they couldn't do it, could they? You had to have symmetrical paint jobs. But when they improved the tech, they could now do asymmetric. So we're seeing a greater variety of paint jobs. So yeah, I quite like this one. It's sort of like it looks like the cutter's got to its hand and like put Braveheart style war paint across it.
It's not blue enough. Not blue. Anyway.
Now you make me want. I was going to say you are making me want a white and blue one or a blue and white one or something now. I do like the black and white one though. The one that's more black and then with the white streaks.
Yeah, I think I might get sucked into getting a couple of those.
Although, if I was being a bit rude, I would say it looks like they ran out of paint and just stopped.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Right. Well, I think on that note, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come back with our main discussion after some adverts.
The Federal Navy. We want you for Adventures Unlimited.
Just last week I was mixing Sidewinder slammers at a seedy space bar. I wasn't even pilot registered. And now I have a ship and a basic starting mission for the Federal Navy.
Owing to recent actions in the Lave region, the Federal Navy now seeks to recruit another 1,000 entry-level pilots. We need you to add your strength to our military machine.
I'm going to see the galaxy.
We have missions for all pilots, regardless of combat experience or flight hours. Come and talk to us and we'll get you on the military ladder. Join the Federal Navy. Make a real pilot of yourself. Or die trying.
Wait, what's that? Is that a ship coming? Are they looking for me? What do they?
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
Eddie Lee Wise here. Our family-run business looks after all your sartorial needs. Whether you need something to turn your pink python purple, or you want to wrap your buns up in a nice tight flight suit, my husband Ken can sort you right out. He's an expert at inside leg, and my wife Barb's is a whiz with a sewing machine. Bespoke tarting for you and your ship. Visit Eddie and Sons, plus me daughters, at Lave Station. Right, sir. Cough, please.
And welcome back. Well, as Arthur and Gareth and Dr. Ross has all dropped massive hints that what we've seen in Odyssey so far has not been the entire product. We thought we'd ask our esteemed panel what we think Frontier have yet to reveal that's in Odyssey, such as, new ships, SRVs, is there new tech that we'll be like to see. So I think we'll go around each of the crew just to hear some rampant speculation. And of course, we'll start with our guest.
Oh, who better to start with speculation?
Yeah, that's what we want. We want rampant speculation here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I was quite surprised at some of the things that they were talking about today. I mean, I had my suspicions. It's something I've been considering for a while that, they can't just be the 3 or 4 settlement types that we've seen so far. And I think that's near as damn it been confirmed now. I think there was lots of hints and nods that there are going to be a lot more variations in settlement layouts. And what we're going to see on them. So that I'm really looking forward to if that turns out to be true. Because I think that's definitely the one thing that I find in the alpha at the moment that kind of makes it feel too samey after a certain amount of time. That you get used to the locations of where the power building is and so on and so forth. So I think having more variation on the ground is something I'm really going to be 200% in for. Crikey, so many other things. I mean, definitely we mentioned the different planetary pictures that we've shared tonight, and we posted up.
Yeah.
There's some really nice looking things there. Because that was one of the things I felt, I don't say disappointed, but I was a little bit surprised when I was looking at some of the planetary detail and the atmosphere types didn't match up with what I was seeing in the color. I think, but then Dr. Casey mentioned that some people have only seen one or two atmosphere types, and then she owned up and admitted that, yep, we don't actually have those shaders in the alpha, which I thought, well, that's brilliant. That's great. That's great news, because that means that they have been working on it.
Yes. I mean, I must admit that where I have been on an atmosphere, when the sun has hit the area, it does look absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people were thinking it after a while it started to look samey, and the fact that we've got this variety coming, I think, is what's needed. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And that was one of the things I was like really buying for. And I was kind of thinking, they mentioned the stuff about trunks and branches and all that stuff today. And as Ben mentioned, most of us are developers, so we kind of get what it's all about. But I've been trying to reassure people that I think they had more internally than they were willing to show in the alpha. It's just we weren't going to see it all on day one.
Yeah. Okay. Shan, what do you think they've still got to reveal?
Well, we know there's a few other things they've said that's in there that they didn't mention on the stream. So there were things like plasma weapons. So we know we've got plasma weapons to come.
Yes.
We know we've got different sorts of engineering to come. So there's that. What I think they'll do, I'm trying to differentiate my mind between what I think we'll get and what I want us to get. And I'm pretty sure we will have some kind of on-foot Thargoid encounter. Because why wouldn't you? Are we doing what we want to be in there this week, or are we?
Well, I'm going to move on to Ben and then come back to what you really want later. Okay, Ben.
Oh, one of the things that I'm following on a bit from what Kerrash was saying with the variety of settlements, I am going to engage in a bit of wishful thinking and desperate hope that we've also only seen one type of social hub.
Yes.
And I pray, I hope, I beg, and I scream, and all that stuff, that with release we will get a variety of social hub. Heaven forbid we might even see a social hub that actually realizes it's not in gravity. Please.
Yes. Yeah, that would certainly put Souverine's mind at ease, wouldn't it?
Suv and mine.
Yeah, definitely. Personally, I'm hoping that we saw just a tiny amount of the fauna and other plants that we could scan with the Discovery Scanner, and that there was a lot more variety to come. Because it was impressive for the time we looked at it, but I'm hoping that's on its way. So next question I think I'll have is, what would you really want? And this is what Shan wanted to go with, so we'll go with Shan first.
I was going to say, Colin, we haven't had your turn first. You need to say what you want.
Oh no. I've already done my bit.
Okay, what I want, what I really, really want, is I want complexity and nuance in the combat and in the game mechanics. And what I mean by complexity is I don't just mean shoot it with a laser weapon until it shields it down, then shoot it with a kinetic weapon until it dies. That's not real complexity. I want something that's different. There are, like for the NPCs, they work differently. Some of them have specific skills and mechanics and stuff like that presents more than just an accuracy challenge to the players. So it's just more complexity. For what I've seen at the moment, and I'm going to paraphrase I think it seems about an inch wide and an inch deep at the moment, and I'm thinking it can't be that. But how? And I know we talk about Thargoids and there's more to come, but even that only expands it a little bit. I just want more complexity.
Interesting. Crash, what is there something there that you really, really want to come out?
Guns, lots of guns. Yeah, I want to play with more pew pew, definitely. So yeah, more areas to fight in would be great. But yeah, I want to try some more of these weapons because I think that would really add some interesting depth to the gameplay. Because we've only really like Shan was saying now, we've only really played with the thermal and kinetic weapons. I want to know what difference does it make having a plasma? Being able to do a little bit of both at the same time. And oh my goodness, I would so love a railgun. I want to be able to snipe people. Please, Frontier, please.
Yes, yeah, that's one of Psykit's favourite requests at the moment, and we all know how excited she gets about dealing with a headshot from long range. So, Ben, is there something there that you would really want to see in coming out with Odyssey? Have I lost Ben? Have you lost me?
No, I'm still here. It just helps if I actually press the button, not think I've pressed the button.
Push to think then.
Yeah. So what I was saying was I would like to see more SRV types. Specifically, as I've said time and time again, I want a speeder bike. And
yes.
The cover for last Friday's Sagittarius Eye has exactly what I want on it. And I didn't even have to ask for that. But it has basically the concept art by somebody, I've no idea who, of a skimmer with a great big thruster on the back of it and a commander riding it. And it looks amazing, and I want that. I so want that. But I also know that other people, they want their space trucks to go and do bulk hauling on a planet. And other people want a tank, and other people want, the SRV, and for Frontier to just leave their SRV alone.
Yeah.
So more planetary vehicles.
You're really wanting more planetary vehicles. Yeah, well,
specifically a bike.
Specifically a bike. That's always a good one.
Yeah, flying bike.
The funny thing is that I'm hoping that there is going to be a lot more to the planetary scanning, sort of the plant scanning and the exploration than what we've seen in the alpha. I'm hoping that they've held something back. I mean, we were discussing about harvesting and creating your own elements and your own materials from the plants that you harvest last week. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought that's actually what I would really like. David Braben himself has discussed about the fact that some they want to have some kind of harvesting mechanic in there at some point, which otherwise, why would you want to harvest these poor, beautiful, defenseless animals for their eyelashes? Shan, you've got more wants, I believe.
Yes, I mean, in my thinking about this question, I've had to separate what I want and what I think is plausible to get. Because I think we all want EVAs, we all want ship interiors, we all want the working VR and all the things we've talked about. But being realistic, we ain't going to get that on the 19th of May. So I think, and I know I mentioned about combat mechanics, but like you, Colin, I want to be able to think I'm part of a bigger universe. There's other things I can do other than using a cutter to open a lid and hope it doesn't fall in. that's that sort of thing. I want more exploration. Earlier on in the week, I watched Colo, I think it was, her first in hyperdiction. And the sense of wonder and terror on that screen when she was hyperdicted brought me back to the first time I was hyperdicted. And I want something that brings back that wonder of, oh my God, what on earth is going on here? That sense of wonder, which I think has been lacking a bit recently.
Yeah, well, that's because basically they haven't added anything new that to cause that. The last time I felt that was going around the Guardian ruins, and actually, no, the Guardian beacon. Flying towards the Guardian beacon for the first time and seeing that, I mean, my jaw just dropped because it was, and the last time that. The previous time before that was the Thargoid bases, especially when we thought we'd started off the next Thargoid war.
You did. Well, Stephen Usher did.
Yeah, Stephen made the suggestion. We actually did it. But yeah, I know where you're coming through from that. I mean, we've had a couple of suggestions from the chat room so far. Commander Brushilov wants a robotic horse. Does that include horse armor that you have to pay for arcs?
Isn't there a washing machine in the ship you could use instead of the horse?
Prime Gaming Bitstorm has said more functional crew would be good. Yes, I must admit that having the crewman, your crewman appear next to you, and if there's a spare seat, would be nice.
Or do you mean crew that can actually fly a ship?
Yeah, and that's an interesting little point, isn't it?
Too much here.
Little Biggin, he would like a science car, and he'd like to make it look like the Mystery Machine, and he's on board. Okay, fine. This is getting a little bit more bizarre, but yeah. Crash, anything else that jumps out of your head?
I mean, there's little quality of life things that I'd like to see. Lots of things. I'd love to see the Panther Clipper Alex, but I did really doubt that's something that's going to make it in. I would love to be wrong on that one. But aside from that, just little quality of life things would be great. Like something to allow me to know where my grenade's going to go when I throw it. Something to help.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Okay. Ben, is there anything there that you think that you'd really like in there?
Well, I think some people would like a Commander Shan HCS voice pack.
What would it say? What would it say? It's like
I hate everything and everything is wrong.
No. It would be something like Guild Wars 2 operational or something. I don't know.
I have no idea.
So suggestions on a postcard, and maybe it won't be an issue voice card, but if you people make good suggestions, I will read them out on the show, and you can cut them out and put them into your own voice pack.
That's quite scary, to be honest. You've got a couple more suggestions, have you?
I was, going off what Crash was saying about the quality of life stuff. I mean, I know I talked about it last week, and I know Psychic vigorously talked about it last week. It was accessibility options. It's being able to customize your HUD.
Right, I'm going to have to interrupt you here. Is that one of the things that that Gareth was talking about was exactly that. They've heard the complaints about the fact that accessibility is an issue, and that they are going to be implementing some form of
bigger font.
Well, they're going to put some form of functionality into to help with accessibility. They've heard.
Well, that's good. I haven't seen the screen, but that's a real positive step they had. But the other thing I was going to say, which was building on what Crash was saying, is these quality of life things, basic emotes, so you don't be able to squat down or being able to whisper someone in game, or a local chat that's local to one room. Bigger space stations where you just get more than one room you can go to. Stuff like that actually makes it seem a bigger place than just a waiting room.
Yeah. Oh, funnily enough, someone has suggested that you could talk to Dave Pearson, and then you could have a Shan and Cecil voice pack together. He says he'd buy it.
Do I get the money, or do they just...
Oh, you'd have to got special effects, surely.
It would do, yeah. It would be, yeah. Little Big Yin wants to ask, why can't I be a mesmer? Which for Guild Wars people knows what that means.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
And Paul Archer there wants me to say, well, you're not doing that right.
you that reminds me of when you were if you played some of these old Discworld games and you had Eric Idle as Rincewind, and no matter what you did, you got it wrong, and all he would say is, "You didn't do that right. You didn't do that right," and you wanted to punch him.
I'm not that negative about stuff. If you listen, I've actually been really complimentary this week.
Just like you weren't controversial last week.
I wasn't controversial. Did you have any complaints about my controversy last week?
We never get any complaints about your controversy any week.
Well, then I can't be controversial, can I?
Or people just expect it of you.
Well, the thing, there is a saying that if you're not getting people complaining, you're not doing it right. So maybe I should try and get lots of complaints this week.
We have a sensible suggestion from Silver Solar, who's saying they'd like a PvE flag, so they could play in open without the risk of getting ganked.
Yeah, that's quite a common request in MMOs and things. I mean, there are
in Elite since ever.
I mean, there are issues around that. In that, what you can do is you can shoot someone, gank them, and then turn the PvE flag on, so you can't be got back. But I thought the way Elite does it is actually quite clever with a private group. Yes, it doesn't stop you being ganked, but it does mean you can kick people out who transgress the rules of the private group. So private group is, I would suggest, something like that. Although, of course, that doesn't stop you falling victim to a grenade being thrown at someone else because you can't tell where it went. Oh, sorry, Ben, I blew you up. I can't tell. Yeah, sorry, Ben, I blew you up. I can't see where my grenades are going.
I mean, personally, for me, I'm hoping that they do put emotes in. Because at the moment, the walking around the concourse without the ability to wave at other commanders or gesture at other commanders, I think is I mean,
we're missing something.
I'm so used to doing it in other MMOs.
Yeah,
you're used to waving at other people or sending them daft things. I mean,
I know. In a certain other space game, I've got a button. I've got a macro button that basically issues the /salute command and things like that.
You got macros to do that.
Do you think we'll get them on the 19th? Do you think we'll get more emotes on the 19th?
No, I don't.
You know what? I have to agree with Ben that I don't think we'll get them. It'd be great if we did.
Yeah.
I think it really needs them, to be honest. That and a way to talk to commanders directly.
We're meant to be able to just press enter, I think, and then type, but you can't. Or at least it didn't work for me. But I think if they were going to do macros, I think, and I'm purely wild-ass speculation based on how they do it in other console games, there would be a press here to bring up a macro to bring up an emote wheel.
Yeah.
And then select the emote you want to release, just like we've got those other wheels now, because of course we're not basing everything on how consoles do it rather than how proper games do it.
So do you think we'll get a reworked equipment wheel? Do you think we'll get hotkeys for power packs and medkits?
I really hope so. My God, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the major things in feedback that they took away, wasn't it? That, these kind of things are needed. I mean, I got the hang of the wheel without a problem.
Yeah, I've no issues with the wheel, and I think it's a good idea. And I can cope with press and hold Z, say, and then move the mouse around, on the assumption it's not jittering around like a jittery around thing.
So do you think we'll get more variety of missions in terms of how you do them? Because
I think we will, yeah.
To be fair, I was getting a bit bored of, let's use my cutter to cut open a panel and hope I've got enough so it doesn't get stuck in the lid.
Yes, I think we're going to see a lot more. Maybe I think we're going to see a wider variety of missions too.
Yeah. By the way, did anyone, there are access panels behind the back of guns, and there's access panels mysteriously on roofs of outposts. Does anybody cut those panels away, and is there anything to interact with behind them? Because I think I remember trying it in phase 2, and there was nothing behind those panels.
Some of them, yeah, definitely some of them. Like the oxygen generators and things like that, you can actually turn things on and off, but the settlements tend to have power and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. That's interesting, because last time I did that at a settlement, when I cut the panel away, there was nothing there to interact with, and I just wondered, well, surely they're going to put something in there.
Yeah, I think it depends on the state of the settlement. Some of the panels do have things behind, but unless the settlement has power, you can interact with them. Unless you've got an e-breach, you might not be able to actually force it to activate or deactivate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, I think we've gone round the.
I was just looking at some comments in chat, Colin. There's a debate going on about what we think they'll add later. Talitha has said the emotes and things. They personally don't think they're really essential, and they think, well, they could add them later. Get the game running first, fix bugs, etc. I can see where they're going with that comment, but my worry is there hasn't been a roadmap or hasn't been a Horizon style release, where 2.1 was this, 2.2 was that. There hasn't been anything like that. So my concern is
like that yet, have they?
Yeah, my concern is what we get in Odyssey is what we'll end up with. So, and are we going to come on to this, Colin? But personally, I feel the 19th of May is way, way too early for them to release it.
Well, I think that we're going to be getting constant updates until effectively the console versions are ready. I don't think we're going to end up just with right. That's Odyssey out the door on the 19th. No more fixes, nothing, no more functionality until then. I think they're constantly going to be iterating over and over again. Ben.
I think actually the console release would be an ideal opportunity for, here is 3.1, shall we say, and here's a few new features for 3.1, including maybe a emote wheel. And I think you're totally right about, again, we've said it for a while. I see the PC release through to the console release to essentially be an extended alpha or extended beta.
Yeah, more like an extended beta, isn't it?
Yeah. Or gamma, I guess, seeing as we're going to be keeping our content. Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, Shan.
Yeah, the trouble with that approach is you run a real and significant risk of it being another Cyberpunk 77. In that the release for that was rushed out, and it nearly brought down the company. Yes, it's a bigger release than Cyberpunk's a bigger release than this, but I think this. Let's get it out of the door and we'll patch it and improve it later.
It's not going out on console, so the console.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I would rather
we're getting now all the way through with all the bug fixes we're going to be getting between now and October.
Yeah, but you've told everyone it's got a 19th
feature.
Sorry, but you've told everyone it's got a live release date of the 19th, so people are expecting
but it's not coming out
live...
on console. We know that.
Yeah, but it's out on PC. What I'm saying is you're setting an expectation it's out on the 19th. If you delayed it, the whole thing, until the console came out and launched it as here is the launch version, you don't fall into that trap.
I think they need the testing. They need the testing in this large environment in order to be able to find some of these bugs. And I got no problem with being that kind of tester. And I think that people will probably slate me for this, but I think Odyssey is in a better state than Cyberpunk 2077 was when it was released in just before Christmas. I seriously do. Crash.
I mean, I think it's very similar to what happened with Horizons. When you go back and look at it historically, they wasn't on the consoles initially, and we ended up almost being the beta testers for what was going on to the console platform eventually. So I don't have a problem with them doing that. I think it's probably the most sensible approach they can do.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing that they haven't done so far, is they haven't issued any roadmap for anything coming after the 19th. Shan, would you feel better if they had issued some kind of roadmap?
I think so, because as they said in, I think it's Paul Archer said in chat, they really need to disclose a roadmap because they're selling it as a full release game for the PC on the 19th. They're not selling it as this is Elite version 4, 4.1 is console release, and this 4.2 is Christmas. They're not selling it as that. They're selling it as a completely released game on the 19th. And I think some indication that we've got extra stuff to come other than bug fixes and store alerts, I think would go a long way to allay, well, certainly my fears.
Yeah.
Why would you expect that Frontier are going to change their strategy of not telling us anything and treating us like mushrooms since...
Because I hope they respect their
2016?
customer.
Yeah, but they've not told us any real future plans since...
Oh, Beyond they did, didn't they? Beyond they told us what they were doing.
Yeah, even that was minimal, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, but it was enough to get us. It was enough to keep us our interest going. They need to tell people basically that okay, audit is done. When the 19th happens, we're not walking away from it. We're carrying on working with it because of some of the releases in the past, confidence isn't all that high. That people will be continue to work on, and that's always been the issue for quite a while, to be honest.
I think we know there'll be bug fixes. I think we'll know there'll be bug fixes. But what about balance passes? What about...
Why does anybody think there won't be balance passes? I mean, Frontier are not changing their strategy just because Odyssey's going to come out.
Because it took them 2 years to fix the broken mess that was mining, so...
Yeah, it might take them 2 years to get things out, but why does anyone think they're not going to be working on new features for 3.1, 3.2, 3.10? We're just not going to find out about them until a couple of months ahead of time.
Because people like to know. People will expect to be told something's coming.
You've also
done that for years.
Yeah, but they also haven't announced anything that to do with add-ons or things that you can buy with ARCs yet. Now, we know that that's part of their strategy for helping to finance the game, is to have this kind of enhancement. They're not going to just say, right, that's it, 19th's out the door. Let's walk away and not just maybe give them some ship skins or something. They'll be working on other things as well. I like this, what MyArc says. If, as stated, the devs have started to work on Sleepy Pete's animations since his rise to fame in alpha, I don't see how they can't have had time to animate some emotes with a simple hotkey or interaction wheel. I'm almost positive they have held a few things back to provide nice surprises. We hope we have as well, and that's what we're really looking at. Ben, what's this about the Horizons and the Season Pass?
I think one thing that we all seem to be forgetting is that Frontier, at the highest levels, basically meaning David Braben, regretted doing the Seasons Pass for Horizons. They had to work out how they want to do what they wanted to do. Instead of that, it's like they knew what they wanted to do. They knew we want to release episodic content, and periodically we'll ask people for money for it, and we'll keep rolling out content. You'll pay for things in bits and bats. We'll sell stuff on the Arc store.
Yeah,
and that's basically their strategy. And that strategy hasn't really changed since Elite Dangerous 1 came out. We had all the little incremental updates of 1, then we had Horizons, then all the increments of Horizons, then Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same thing. It's just different ways of calling it. And I think we're going to get exactly the same approach with Odyssey. One other thing, though, that I think it makes no sense for Frontier to turn around and say, "Hey guys, in Elite Dangerous Odyssey 3.2, we'll have walking around in your ship in December." They're not going to tell us that today, are they?
No, they won't. Chan.
Yeah, just picking up on what Ben was saying. Back in 2016, when they released the Horizon Season Pass, by and large, season passes for games weren't a thing. So people didn't really understand it. Now, if you buy a season pass for a game, you understand you're getting a year's worth of stuff in your game.
I have to interrupt you there. I have to interrupt you there, Shan, because season passes were very much in vogue back then, but it was only with certain types of games. So most of your sporting games, that you had your season pass for those.
Yeah, I just don't think people got it. I don't think the mistake was releasing the roadmap for Horizons. I think the mistake was not communicating it in such a way that people got it. Now, going on what Ben was saying about putting dates for things, yeah, they won't do that. They won't say it will be in July or it will be in December. But what they did with Beyond, they gave us a progression: 3.1 Crime and Punishment, 3.2 this, and this.
Yeah, but Frontier regretted doing that.
Horizons, you said.
Yeah, they did.
And they regretted locking themselves in for things in Odyssey, in Beyond.
But why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't we expect them to be committed to something? Because
why should we expect them to be committed to something? We've got no right to dictate to them what they should do.
We pay their money.
Yeah, we have paid their money.
Right. Okay. The main issue that you have to worry about this is because it is an online game. It's a game as a service, and people, unless and as Shan is well aware, as soon as people confidence falls that nothing new is going to happen with this game as a service, then there's not any more content. Then effectively people start drifting away. And the main issue is that you've got to keep people's interest. You've got to let people know that there's more on the horizon at all times in order to keep people interested. Go on, Sean.
Yeah, I was about to say you were right, Colin, because there's a majority of players, and this sounds a bit rude, but I think of them as content locusts.
That should be your new drinking thing, because you mentioned content locusts at least twice a blooming that show.
No, I'm sure I haven't mentioned it for at least 3 weeks. But anyway, what they do is new stuff comes out and they swarm to that game and they consume the new stuff as quickly as possible, and then they go looking for the next new stuff and the next new stuff. And there are content creators who don't really mind about new content because they'll play with the cardboard box they've got, etc. But they tend to be in a minority. It's these group of players that you talked about, Colin, who they want to know there's new stuff coming, otherwise they'll move on to something else.
Crash, you've been very quiet. Do you want to join in with this?
I didn't want to interfere with the debate that was going on, the heated debate there. But no, I kind of get what you're saying there, Shan, about people that do that. But I think that is kind of a general human nature thing. I think that is the majority of people that I've seen. I mean, I felt myself doing it on things as well. Like I will only come in and try a game And then when there's nothing else for me to do in it, then yeah, I will get bored and I will move away. I think that is very much human nature. But yeah, I don't know a good way they can do it. I've always expressed that it's impossible for content creators to keep up with the pace at which content can be consumed. I think this goes back as far as Valve trying to do episodic stuff with like Half-Life 2. They had this big plan that they were going to do all these episodes, and they got to episode 2 and gave up because we know Valve can't count past 3. But I think they realized quickly that there's just no way you can keep up with the rate of content consumption.
And that's exactly right. But the thing is that if people know, at least in overview, there's something, there's going to be a beyond point 1, a beyond point 2, a beyond point 3. As long as they know that and they've got that to look forward to, the fact there is this game called Elite won't slip out of their collective conscious.
Yeah, Pain X Pain, or X Pain X rather. He's not too happy with what he's seen so far. He said 3 years of secret squirrel development for a mindless 2015 era space COD clone that doesn't even have a revive mechanic, soulless cardboard cutout stations, a tacked-on expo mechanic, and that was clearly not thought about for more than 5 minutes. No VR for legs, so because it's hard to do. We still can't get up out of our ships, make a cup, or have any agency with the surroundings. Because in Odyssey, we are SRP's surface recon people. Well, yeah, Crash.
I guess I just have to say, when the airlock's over there, I mean, with anything like this, it's like if you're not enjoying the game and it doesn't suit you, no one's holding a gun to your head and telling you have to play it. I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget coming into a game, is they expect it to entertain them, and when it doesn't do what they want, the immediate reaction is, the game is broken, it's not right, it doesn't do everything. And it's like, well, no, it doesn't do what you expect. That's the way you've got to look at this thing. And if it's not for you, then don't force yourself to play it. You take a step away, take a break, come back to it later.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I do have to point out is that I think it's the one thing that everybody thought was that as soon as they said space legs, that meant inside ships as well as outside ships.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they've split it so that it's outside ship only has caused a lot of disappointment, because I think some people are looking over at No Man's Sky and at Star Citizen and going, why couldn't you have done that? But the problem is that No Man's Sky cheats like crazy, while Elite Dangerous tries to keep some kind of scientific basis. And Star Citizen, I mean, how much money has been spent on that as compared to Elite? Anyway, Shan.
I was actually going to agree with what Crash was saying, is that I think that it's easy for us to assume a game's lifespan is going to be the same as human lifespan, i.e. this is the game we'll be playing forever and ever and ever and ever, or we'd like it to be. But the reality is that most games, if they're doing well, last about 10 years before they drop into maintenance mode. So I'm not saying Elite is past it, but it's certainly nearing the end of middle age, shall we say. And if people aren't enjoying it, then don't play it. Find a different game. As Crash said, you don't have to play it every week, like we do, because we're on the radio about it. But it's not a forever game. And I think if you expect developers to write a forever game, you'll be forever disappointed.
Well, actually, with this one, I do have to say it can be a forever game, because you can disappear off into the galaxy and you will come across places which no one else will have seen. And you can carry on just heading out, doing a Halo Jones, heading out into the black again and again and again, finding new views and new planets for you to explore. But it all depends whether or not that kind of mechanic will keep you happy. Ben?
Be a forever game so long as they don't shut the servers down.
Well, yeah, that's the other issue, isn't it?
Hashtag offline mode.
Hashtag offline mode. Yeah, because this is the other thing that, I mean, we're just about to get one of the biggest releases or upgrades in ages, and having people turn around and say, "Oh, the game's coming to more than halfway through its life," is kind of a bit disingenuous, really, I think. But so we've got, yes, World of Warcraft is still at 17 years and going strong.
But what's its subscriber base now as compared to what it was 5 years ago, 10 years
Still
ago?
millions.
Bigger
It's
than
still
Elite
millions,
Line.
isn't it, Shan? And at the moment, from what Frontier was saying, there are more people playing Elite Dangerous than there ever have been before. At the moment, and when Fleet Carriers came out, you saw the Steam charts; they went absolutely through the roof, much higher than it ever was during release.
We'll see.
It sounds as if you actually want the game to sunset.
No, I don't want the game to sunset. I'm just trying to temper expectations that Elite Dangerous as a game will last forever, and people should enjoy it as long as they enjoy it, and not feel guilty for going on to a different game. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, I mean that is quite true, but my point was that when they said that basically when Elite Dangerous comes to its end of its life, they have made assurances that the server-side tech will be made available to the community, so that basically you can carry on playing it after the servers have gone offline.
The first thing I would do with offline mode, if I got it, and I got my save, got the Elite Galaxy on my PC, and just ran on my PC, no network, just ran completely separate from anything else. The first thing I would do was get hold of a crack and really muck around with the ship. I don't know, give myself a 7,000 light year jump range or something silly like that. Just muck about with it is what I would do.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you would do. Personally, I wouldn't. I'd be quite happy just carrying on flying, heading out into the black, doing a Halo Jones. So, but anyway, so we've been around this several times, so I think it's time we draw this to a close. Is there anything anybody would like to finally say? Oh, surprise, surprise, Shan.
No, I was about to say, didn't we all do a really good job of spinning the show out an extra half an hour?
Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, I think Elite is doing really, really well at the moment, and I'm feeling positive for the long-term future of Elite. There are things I want to see, and I want to see how they evolve. But even if Elite does not become the game, or does not remain the game for me, I think it'll remain the game for more people in 2022 than it was for the number of people in 2014.
Okay, Shan, you go next, and I'm going to give Kerrash the last word.
Yeah, I was about to say is that when we get such bored, tired game universe story trashing ideas as the Elite Plus combat rank, it shows a lack of imagination.
Oh dear. Right, Kerrash, what's your last point?
I'm just happy to see that my shares have tripled. So yeah, things are going well.
Fair enough. At least that's one more point. Okay. Right. I think we shall move on. The community corner. So what has been the community been up to for the last week or so since we last saw them? Well, we've got a Dark Wheel update. The Dark Wheel has now arrived in 9 Puppis, the LFT 509 test site and have won 3 out of 4 wars. They are also consolidating control of 86 MU Hercules. So I don't know where that actually puts them in their target scheme.
Well, LFT 509 is the if anything is going to happen, we think it's going to happen here system.
Right.
So basically, once they get 9 puppies and then get themselves expanding out of the 9 puppies, the hope is maybe they'll find themselves in LFT 509. Maybe, kinda. Or it could just be a negative test, and who knows?
Is LFT 509 a locked system, a permit locked?
Yes.
Ah, right, I see.
We have no access to it, and
People have speculated that
it's oh, I can't remember what was the name of that system that Sinclair's Mrs. went off to in season 1 of Babylon 5, where Jakar was like
Sigma 957.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, thank you, Shan. It's a bit like there.
Right, so you're expecting the walkers to be there, are you?
Possibly. Who knows?
And the Monster Munch.
And the Monster
Not the Monster Mash.
Now, someone has done an Alpha Phase 2 animation comparison.
Oh, come on, you're not going to pronounce that.
No, I'm not going to pronounce that. Pronounced...
Colin, you're the host. Colin, you're the host. You have to pronounce it.
Nandayan Yen, I think it is.
Nandayan Yen. Okay, we're going to try it. I apologise if I've got that wrong, Nandayan.
I love what it actually means, though. I love it. It's actually, it looks glorious. And I think, however the hell you're meant to pronounce it, but it's just like, it's Y. I love the fact it's just basically his name is Y, and I think that's an awesome name.
Oh dear. So he's created a great video comparing the FPS movement in Odyssey and compared it to modern FPS games. It's been hypothesized that the lack of apparent movement is actually to assist in enabling VR. The lack of animations currently might be because Frontier are developing 2 sets of animations, neither of which have been fully implemented as of yet. I mean, yeah, that is actually something that I do have on my wish list, is that at some point we get the full VR experience before before the end of the year.
Oh, have you seen any of Malik's Odyssey streams?
I'm afraid I haven't yet. I haven't had a chance to catch up with Malik.
He's done a couple of things where he's playing VR and pretty much kind of sort of playing Odyssey. And Frontier haven't slapped him down because they went off and gave 4,000 people to him after today's stream.
Oh right, so is that? Oh, that's where they went.
Yeah.
Did they?
They went off and raided Malik.
All right, good for Malik.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, yes, we've actually had an update from a certain Chris Jarvis. We've had an update on escape velocity. Now, for those of you who have been hiding under a rock, please go...
Or haven't listened to the show or have only started listening to the show for about the past 3 years or something like that.
Yes. Right at the very beginning of the show, that we had a complimentary audio drama called Escape Velocity, as written by Chris Jarvis and performed by a lot of volunteer actors. And season 4 has been in development limbo for quite a while. I think
as long as Half-Life 3.
Yes. And someone actually asked him a couple of days ago if there was an ETA, and he's actually replied. So there isn't an ETA for Escape Velocity Series 4, as all kinds of stuff is up in the air at the moment, as you'd imagine. Since the beginning of the pandemic, he's been focusing entirely on doing audiobooks. I read myself as the tiny, unventilated studio is not at all what you call pandemic safe. The other complication is that Escape Velocity was, and generally always has been, made with friends and acquaintances rather than open casting. In the huge amount of time, life has moved on, people have moved away, relationships have changed, and once the end of the pandemic seems more definite, I'll be sending out my primary cast, which is May, Kurlik, Dallas, the Patriarch, and Sarke, to see who I've definitely got and who's definitely up for a return. Then it's a case of making sure that the scripts will fit who is available. So the conclusion of the story is coming. There's just a few practical issues that keep it from happening at the moment, mostly to do with the pandemic. Shan, you wanted to...
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm glad we're getting some update to Escape Velocity. It has been far too long. But saying that, does anyone actually remember what it used to be like before the pandemic? Because I'm not sure I do anymore.
No, I don't.
I must admit, after a year and I think it's a year and a month now of the lockdown, I'm actually scared of crowds. I've never thought that would actually occur to me, but it seems that if anybody does come within closer than a meter than me, especially if they're not wearing a mask, I begin to get really freaked out. I never thought I'd be in that kind of situation.
It's going to be quite strange at LaveCon, isn't it? Seeing people in the flesh, so to speak.
Yeah. I do think people will remember how to talk to one another and not type.
We'll just type. Phoenix Blue is saying, the joke's on you. They've always been scared of crowds.
But it will be. I mean, yeah. Because we don't know whether it will be maskless at LaveCon or whether or what the plan is past June. But
well, the plan is apparent according to the government, which yeah, June the 21st or Midsummer's Day is effectively when they expect us to go fully back to normal. As long as
I want weaning out. I want like half a mask or something like that, or I want something.
I think by back to normal they mean there won't be restrictions, but certain things are going to become, in inverted commas, the new norm.
I mean, back to how it was last summer.
Maybe.
No,
I was talking to Vank Dion earlier, and because as we know, at least he organises a lot of professional conventions and things, and the hoops that all these conventions in July, August, October, later are having to jump through to make sure they're safe as possible.
Yeah, so they're still having to do it.
We're back to normal. They're still guidelines, maybe would be the right word.
I mean, I haven't been on a train for 18 months, or any sort of public transport. I've always gone in the car. I've never, if I was going into London now, well, I don't think I would. I think I'd drive, to be fair. I don't think I'd go on an underground train.
Anyway, we shall move on to other things happening in the community. The first thing, we have a public service announcement. There is a fake Elite Dangerous Twitter account going about, which is, if you look at it, it's Elite Dangerous, but instead of the L in Elite, they've got a capital I. And it is giving out basically misleading news. There's already been tweets supplied saying that the Odyssey has been delayed for a month and all that kind of stuff. So it's a typical troll account. So we just thought we should make people aware of it. On a more positive note, Commander Kaboom's escapades have been reported in the PC Gamer magazine. He has managed, and I can't believe he's done this, he's managed 65,000 light years without ever using a fuel scoop.
How did he do that? I don't get how he... Unless he can't... I'm assuming he's not in a fleet carrier.
There's a little bit of new story behind that. So effectively, they mapped out where there were other fleet carriers in the galaxy and kind of used them like waypoints to get around. So I mean, technically, yeah, no fuel scoop, but still. Yeah.
I mean, strictly speaking, you could transport your entire fleet without fuel scoop. You just go in your carrier.
Yeah.
Bit cheeky, but that's still one heck of a logistics exercise to plan.
Yeah.
You've got the Deep Space support network, don't you?
But to be fair,
it must be pointed out he did actually have an Anaconda which was racked full with fuel tanks, and he did manage to get up to 10,000 light years on one big fuel. Run,
the Anaconda diesel. The thing is, to being a bit mischievous, if I knew he was coming and my fleet carrier was on the list, I'd move it.
You would as well, wouldn't you?
Why does that not surprise me? But of course, you're nice and friendly, and you'll always help a fellow commander, won't you?
I'd want paying to move it back.
You get paid. You just go off and charge him like 300% or something like that.
No, it's not the fun. You just want the panic. Where is it? Where is it?
All right. Okay.
That's priceless,
Next up, we have Commander the Ritz. Now, he has gone and done a comparison of all the bullet velocities that are available in Odyssey at the moment. He's gone and done quite an extensive analysis. Yes. Now,
how did you work those out?
Apparently, he just reading this. His methodology was to deploy an SRV, determine how far out the shield bubble extends from the side of the SRV. It apparently sits 4 meters from the center of the vehicle. Move to 100 meters away from the edge of the shield bubble. Fire a weapon at the shield bubble. Determine how many frames it took for the bullet to impact the shield, starting from when the bullet was fired, and calculate its flight time and velocity from that information. He says it wasn't an exact process, but still, it does seem that our stuff, the stuff in, he's done a comparison between standard handguns in real life and the weapons that we're using, and it does seem to me that our modern day weapons are a bit faster. Quite a bit faster, actually, than the weapons that we'll be using in Odyssey.
That's actually a pretty cool bit of analysis. Although I would have done it a different way. I'd have got one of you guys to go a distance and shot at you, and then
but then you've got to take in tend to the fact the sound barrier of the word "ow" coming back from the commander to yourself in order.
No, it wouldn't be an ow; it'd be a death scream. But anyway.
Yes.
So does he say why he thinks the velocity of a Earthling handgun?
No, he's just for just looked at this for a bit of fun analysis. Well, excuse me, fun analysis. Really, it looks like the weapons that we're using in Odyssey are half the velocity of modern day weapons. So,
I guess all it's got to do is puncture the suit, though, isn't it? Really,
at least half. I will speculate that the reason why they're this is to give us an opportunity to try and duck and dodge. Whereas if something's coming at you, sort of like basically a kilometer a second, you ain't gonna get out of the way of that, and that's the whole point of these guns.
To duck and dodge, though, you've actually got to be able to react and dodge, taking into account latency.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suspect the whole reason for them being slower than they really would be is pure gameplay. And see, this is the kind of gameplay bodge around I can accept, but other people probably can't. It's like, well, that's not realistic, and it just breaks their immersion.
Does he take account of gravity, or is gravity irrelevant in this?
He hasn't calculated gravity.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
so could you? So I'm curious about this now. So theoretically, then, if you're counting frames, you could work out whether the laser is as quick as a laser should be.
No, it's not.
So they slow
Basically
the speed of
all.
light down as well.
Yes, they are. These are a bit like the laser blasts that we see in Star Wars.
Star Wars, rather than the laser
Yeah.
blast that you see in
In
basically
real life.
Yeah. I mean, it's like phasers, isn't it? Phasers are practically instant, but Star Wars blasters aren't.
Yeah.
Unless we're like the Flash or Quicksilver, where we can just sort of like silently move and turn around and watch the bullet flies by us.
Now we've got special slow space lasers.
In other news, we'll give a shout out to Commander Vintian, who is shaving his beard for special effect. In 6 weeks, in aid of special effect, the big Viking beard that he's been growing for the last 6 months will be going. He's had the first few virtual meetings from work, and this 6-month-long experiment has to come to an end. Beard, staying as it is not an option. Though, back to the short face fluff or chubby cheek hamster lookalike is in everybody else's hands now. So if you go to justgiving.com fundraising /21 beard gone by, you can make a contribution to to the shaving fund. His missus will be breathing a sigh of relief, and the dastardly deed will happen on Sunday, the 30th of May. It will be videoed and shared for everybody to see.
Do we get to pick?
What
do
do you
we
mean
get to
gets to
pick
pick?
what?
Well, A, does he go fully shaven, or B, beard,
If he
and
gets
C
over
and
1,000,
D?
if he raises over 1,000, he goes full shaven. But
Yeah, but what about? Do
there
we get
is
to choose
interaction.
this?
Hang on, Shan. There is interaction where on the stream we can pick, and he can on the live stream he's saying we can pick whether he's going to have an evil goatee for a bit, or full on mutton chops and things like that.
Oh, right. So it's going to be one of those where he decides.
I'm putting my vote now. Is I want him to shave the word "mug" in his beard.
That would be epic. I don't know how you'd actually be able to do that, but that would be epic.
Well, actually, don't you can think about it. You could actually have mug written down each cheek, and then just shave the center.
MG on each cheek, and then the U in the middle or something.
No, the U could be his mouth because you can open.
There you go. Shan has
put in a donation and suggest it.
Yes, I think that is great. If you want Commander Vintian to have a mug in his face, donate to Special Effect. We will, of course, will be supplying the link in the show notes. And finally, we have the season 1 teaser for Rebuy Unlimited. Ben, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so Rebuy Unlimited we mentioned the other week, which is a machinima kind of thing for Odyssey that's got Alec Turner and Black Maze in it and things like that, and looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously, they couldn't do a lot while they're learning basically about how to film in Odyssey and what we get with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they have worked out a episode 1 story, and well, like any teaser, it tells us absolutely nothing.
Cool. Right. That's good to know. Right. Now, before I call the shots for the end of the show, does anybody have any other business they'd like to quickly bring up?
No, I think I'm good, actually.
Do we know what time tomorrow?
No.
No. But it has been sort of either 11 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon in going by past performance.
Wasn't last week, wasn't last one, it sounded like they were aiming for 2, but got delayed by an hour or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, more importantly, will this show be out in time for the next phase? Because
Well, that's
we could do.
between. I think that all depends how much editing we've given Paul Norman to do.
Well, I was thinking is that should the question not be then, when was it out?
Right. Okay, then I think I'm going to call it for the night then. So we'll start with our shout-outs. First of all, to our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. They broadcast on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv/Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We're also giving shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts which have appeared over the last year or so. So we'll say hi to Loose Screws, Elite Week, Flight Assist. For the Spanish speakers, there's the Elite Cast, there's the Canon podcast, the Fatherhood podcast, Squeaking Fuel, System Chat, the Guard Frequency, and Allograb AM. For those of you who want a literary discussion about science fiction books and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast that's created by our station commander, Alan Stroud. And following this, we do have the latest Galnet News Digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. Hopefully, she's managed to have she's been able to get her words out properly, which is ironic considering I'm the one saying it. Thanks to all those who have chipped in the Twitch chat and to any in-games commanders that have buzzed either me or Ben. I haven't had
Miggles has
luck.
actually been here showing off the lovely Azimuth, something like that. Was that paint job, the new paint job's name?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look on screen, it actually looks. He's got the white and red one, and it does look glorious.
I think Niggles gets the Wall of Shame this week.
Why does he get the Wall of Shame?
Because he hasn't killed Ben.
Oh.
He's been sitting in front of Ben all night, and he hasn't even shot him.
I'm actually quite surprised. I've been just sat outside Jameson's memorial, and nobody's bothered me. It's been quite pleasant, to be honest. But I'm still waiting to see if I can get a tip-off mission while I'm flying around Shinrata Desra. I haven't had.
I can give Commander the tip-off mission.
No, you can't, Shan,
Don't
because
play
you don't.
Leapfrog with unicorns. That's a good tip
Yes.
for you.
We'll also say special thanks to Commander Tokosov, who created the music for the introduction of the show. Now, that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com. Hit us up on facebook.com/laveradio. Tweet us at Lave Radio. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to come out and chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Word of warning, it is shared with the Hunt and Orbital Truckers, so yes. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 British Summertime and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Ben, thanks to Shan, thanks to Kerrash for dropping it by, and special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, Commander Ventura. So until next time, Commanders, fly safe. But if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Simulator testing program. Having successfully concluded the first 3 parts of the test, the commandos created during the testing have been humanely euthanized and will be recycled into a tasty and nutritious green snack. Some human rights campaigners have expressed their concerns over the short lives these test commanders lived, but the Pilots Federation has explained that although their lives were short, they were given lots of interesting things to do, and their brief lives were fulfilling. Climbing the wall of death, getting into each other's SRVs, failing to Galnet News Digest, 27th of April 3307. We read the news, so you don't have to. In this week's news, cloning commanders causes concern.
The Emperor who backed a republic.
Opposition grows to federal arrests.
Don't forget your fuel scoop.
Ethical concerns have been raised over the cloning of large numbers of actual commanders for the 4th and final part of the Odyssey Galaxy Simulator testing program. Having successfully concluded the first 3 parts of the test, the commanders created during the testing have been humanely euthanized and will be recycled into a tasty and nutritious green snack. Some human rights campaigners have expressed their concerns over the short lives these test commanders lived, but the Pilots Federation has explained that although their lives were short, they were given lots of interesting things to do, and their brief lives were fulfilling. Climbing the wall of death, getting into each other's SRVs, failing to surf a Cobra into orbit, attempting to drive SRVs along the slightly too narrow roads in settlements, vultures on fire in the Pegasi sector, the sand glittering on the dark moons of Adityan C9. All those moments, the brief friendships, have been lost in time like missions that couldn't be completed because they were bugged. Time to cry. In frustration. Now, the Pilots Federation is repeating the exercise for a further week of testing, starting within a few hours, but this time it's making cloned copies of real commanders. These commanders will have the same memories, thoughts and feelings as the real commanders, and they won't even be aware that they're clones. They'll have their spaceships, all of them, not just one as initially planned, and they'll live their brief lives totally unaware that on the 5th of May they'll return to the clay from which they were made. Or rather, into more of that delicious green snack that commanders just can't get enough of. The initial plan was that these clones would have a brief 2-day lifespan, but this has been extended to a week after campaigning organisations successfully argued that such a short life would be inhumane. The results of all this testing on cloned human subjects will be revealed on the 19th of May, when commanders, real commanders, not clone commanders, will finally be allowed to get up and walk about. Unless, of course, they're using the PS or Xbox flight control systems, which will be modified to work with legs over the coming months.
The revelation yesterday that would-be Emperor Hadrian Duval may be behind the revolutionary wing of the militant Republican movement known as the Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army has caused confusion among those who like logical explanations. Hadrian Duval's first, some might say only, objective in life is to become Emperor of the Empire of Achenar, so backing a political group that seeks to abolish the role of Emperor completely and have elected rather than hereditary senators might seem a less than shrewd move. Hadrian, whose surname at birth was Jansen, styles himself Imperator, after Imperator Caeso Mordanticus, the power-hungry imperial duke who tried to take advantage of Hadrian's blood ties to the late Emperor Hengist to make a play for the imperial throne. Duke Mordanticus was executed in 3305, but Hadrian escaped justice and was recently believed to have been reconciled with the imperial family, the Duvals, with Princess Aisling successfully pleading his cause. Has Aisling really aided the man who killed her father? Can it really be that isolationist, imperial traditionalist and hardliner Hadrian Duval has really thrown in his lot with the Republicans? Is he a scapegoat? Or perhaps more likely, is he being framed by Imperial authorities to justify wiping the remains of his inconvenient Nova Imperium faction off the face of the galaxy? With Hadrian accused, there are still NMLA members on the loose and ready to cause trouble. The arrest of Hadrian, if and when it happens, provides an excuse for further caustic enzyme fireworks. The galaxy had better be on its guard.
Opposition to the Domestic Counter-Terrorism Act is growing stronger as further arrests of students and other alleged activists continue. The Act and the Proactive Detection Bureau it enshrines in law use automated systems to intercept and monitor electronic communications within the Federation, and then to arrest anyone suspected of harbouring seditious thoughts. With the extension of the Bureau's remit that has just been announced, there are concerns that the Federation might be turning into a police state, with independent thoughts and opinions banned by law. Pilots Federation members are growing concerned that there might be a community goal to gather private data and turn it in to the federal authorities. Yes, it would pay well, but could it be morally justified? In other community goal news, Archon Delane has announced that his 5 new Orbis starports will be operational from Thursday, expanding the reach of the Kumo crew and painting targets on the backs of the very commanders who facilitated the programme by shipping in vast amounts of building materials. And Aegis Research is believed to be working on new Guardian weapons technology using the Guardian material supplied by so many independent commanders. Like Archon Delane's appeal, this appeal has ended early, with the required 400,000 assorted Guardian artefacts delivered in less than 6 days.
The excitingly named Commander Kaboom has flown all the way to Beagle Point without a fuel scoop. Journalists covering the case became a little confused by this, explaining that Commander Kaboom achieved his feat without equipping a single fuel scoop. A single fuel scoop being, in fact, the maximum number of fuel scoops you can equip. But it was a worthwhile voyage. Setting out on an exploration trip one day, a little absent-mindedly, Commander Kaboom had already travelled nearly 10,000 light-years before he noticed he'd completely forgotten to equip a fuel scoop. And he wasn't going to turn round and drive all the way home for it, not with Commander Mrs. Kaboom in the passenger seat, just waiting to say, "I told you so," so he pressed on. Commanders have previously managed to fly from the bubble to Colonia without a fuel scoop, by filling the ship with fuel tanks, jumping in economical mode, and generally being awesome. Commander Kaboom, who was by this time completely lost on the Colonia highway, was pretty sure he'd missed the turning for the last gas station before Jacques Station, hit upon a wizard wheeze at this point. There are mobile gas stations everywhere in the galaxy now. If you wait long enough, one of them is sure to come along in a minute, or an hour, or 2, or a bit longer. Waiting sometimes for up to 2 weeks for an obliging fleet carrier with refuelling facility to come within striking distance, Commander Kaboom seized the opportunity to deny he was lost, filled it with fuel, and pressed onwards. And he kept going. Rather than stop at Colonia, our intrepid commander kept going in a straight line, still afraid to admit to Commander Mrs. Kaboom that he was now completely and totally lost and had been holding his map upside down. Commander Kaboom finally reached the furthest system from Sol on the furthest side of the galaxy, Isham's Reach. Even at this last opportunity to save himself, Commander Kaboom boldly and entirely incorrectly asserted that he knew where he was now, and continued supercruising out into the dark emptiness of space, beyond the outermost reaches of the galaxy. It is likely that we will hear no more from Commander Kaboom for some time to come. Having created this precedent for slightly dodgy first commander to do something without a fuel scoop but still be willing to refuel at fleet carriers records, the fuel rats are bracing themselves for a flurry of new record attempts for things like first person to Beagle Point in a stock Sidewinder without a fuel scoop but with 6,000 fuel rat callouts. The possibilities seem endless. But of course, anyone can get from the bubble to Beagle Point, in a stock Sidewinder, no fuel scoop, with no trouble at all. All you need to do is land on the right fleet carrier. And wait.
And we're just getting news that the first person to travel from Sol to Beagle Point without even owning a ship is already making their plans. Hitching rides, hopping from ship to ship on the surface of distant planets, teaming up with commanders from all over the galaxy. If they set out on May the 19th, the so-called physical multi-crew explorers could be at Beagle Point by Friday the 21st. That, of course, is if they don't find themselves floating alone in the darkness of space, when the ship they're in jumps to the next system without them.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to.
The Red Planet taxi service have recently moved into the luxury liner market, and their flagship, Big Red Taxi, has been plying the space lanes in Wolf 25 for some weeks now. We join Trace and Chantal in the food prep area on board.
Alright, Shants, I'll do business class and you do luxury this time, alright, babe? Tea, coffee, coffee, tea, coffee, tea, tea, madam? Certainly, madam, enjoy your tea, madam. Tea, coffee, tea.
Oh, could I have an orange juice, please?
Tea, coffee, tea.
Oh, yes, but I'd like an orange juice if I could, please.
Tea, coffee, tea.
Oh, okay. Tea then, please.
Tea, sir? Certainly, sir. Enjoy your tea, sir. Tea, coffee, tea. Tea, coffee, tea. Tea, coffee, tea. Tea, coffee, tea. Tea, coffee, tea.
Oh, you get all sorts here. Smells like it too. Mirth, horrible stains, marigolds.
Which birthday you go?
Don Keydick.
It says here, next.
My dear man, Cox.
Like an obese child.
No. Teabag.
Fluffy hat.
It's the 34th century.
What the fuck's that?
Patient.
Nada.
Sounds majestic, because it is, Michelle.
This is Beyond Dockers.
Beyond Dockers, a mockumentary podcast available at bs-dockers.com. Also on iTunes.